Jason, and thanks for coming, Paris, in our office, and we're very excited to have you. I would say maybe can you start by presenting yourself and a little bit about your crypto journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Laszlo, for having me. It's my, I've been to Paris. I came to Paris last year for ETHCC, and it's so great to be back because the energy here is fantastic. And then there's just so many great people here on the ground, and one of my personal favorite cities. So it's really nice. So thanks for having me. I'm Jason. I'm Chief Innovation Officer at OKX. I've been with OKX for about 8 years now. So I've touched a lot of different parts of our business. But today, in my role, I'm focused a little bit more on our Web3 side of the business. What that means is mostly we're centered around our wallet, also our Web3 suite of products that really just helping users get on chain and explore all the applications and use cases that are out there.
That makes sense. And that's definitely something we will touch later. Why Web3 and why non-custodial versus custodial. But you touched a bit about Paris. You a little bit everywhere in the world. You have a strong presence in APAC. What would you say are the region you're the most excited about, and what is your worldwide kind of focus at the moment as OKX?
So I live in the United States, so I'm always keeping an eye on what's happening there. But you're right. There's really a lot of excitement globally right now. For us as a company, we have people around the world, and we service a global set of users. And so when we look at interesting jurisdictions, we're very happy that we recently got our conditional license in Dubai, and we got our in-principle approval from the MAS in Singapore very recently also.
Yeah.
And that's part of our global sort of strategy to really put roots down into local areas and really get closer to our local customers, understand their needs, and build products specific to them. We also recently launched local products and teams in Brazil and Turkey, and there's a few more to come later this year. So there's a lot of work happening everywhere. I can't say if one's particularly more interesting than others, but certainly we're very excited about all of those.
And what do you think it's important, for example, to have like local product teams? Do you feel that you need to be close to your customer to sometimes launch features that are not in other countries or region in the world?
Yeah, it's users obviously most important, right? We want to make sure our products work well for them. They are designed for them, easily understood. There's obviously risks involved in crypto products, and so making sure they're designed in a way where users understand them, have the right appropriate safeguards, but also being able to interact and be collaborative with all of our other stakeholders. Regulators being first and foremost, policymakers perhaps, even our third-party banking partners and vendors. And I think one of our core tenets is to make crypto accessible, but also to make ourselves accessible, right? We want to be available for our users and all of our other stakeholders to give us feedback and talk to us. So that's why it's important, right?
And another point I want to touch on is you being, to my knowledge, the platform that has been growing maybe the most the past 2 years, or one of the fastest growing platform the past 2 years. You were already big before, but in, for example, in APAC, you gained a lot of market share. What do you think that is, and what have you been able to provide different compared to your competitor, for example?
This is our 11th year as an organization. And so it's taken a long and sometimes challenging path to get here. And I think we still have so much more to do and so much more to grow. Our space is also evolved, as you know, our industry is constantly changing. And I think being able to keep longer term sort of goals in mind, our vision again to bring accessibility into crypto and Web3 with that focus in mind, and then building products as the markets develop, as use cases develop, I think is really critical. We, 2 years ago, actually, we embarked on we started building out our Web3 wallet. That was completely new for us. We were primarily a crypto exchange platform, and now we have multiple product lines, and this Web3 product suite, again with that wallet that I mentioned, was really something that just came about a couple of years ago, and now it's grown quite a bit also. And so seeing that, there's user demand, hearing what they wanted, I think is core. And, it's just a lot of hard work and sometimes getting lucky too.
And you focused on the Web3 wallet. So maybe before we jump into the wallet, it's obviously a very exciting topic. I'm personally a user of the OKX wallet, and thank you. And I have some feedback to give. We discussed
Love it. Yeah.
earlier. Why a wallet and why non-custodial setups is important versus, for example, an exchange. And it comes maybe hand in hand, but like why this is important.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, we think about it as providing users choice. Some users may prefer a centralized, custodial, trusted setup, and that's totally fine, right? We feel we have very strong products over there. We built tools where users, I'm talking about a proof of reserves. We built tools where users can verify that, their assets are still there, right? Like we have not run off with customer funds. We built very powerful trading features and things for institutions alike on the centralized exchange platform. And so if you prefer that, I think that's very powerful and I think that's great. But for some others, you may want to go the non-custodial or self-custody route. And that's the beauty of crypto, is offering that choice. If you don't like what we offer or other people offer on centralized platforms, you can take it offline, off the exchange, put in your own wallet, and do whatever you find interesting in the world of Web3. And the most interesting part for me is that I'm seeing a lot more people start to understand why they might want to do that, whether it's just feeling more empowered. This is my funds, I'm in control, and I don't need to ask for permission from a platform to withdraw or do anything with my funds. I think that's very empowering for a lot of people. And then as the use cases on Web3 grow, we talked about some lending and staking protocols. We talked about ETH and restaking and all these cool things that are happening. There's a lot of stuff I think this year for gaming that's going to be very interesting. And so I think as these use cases continue to grow, more and more users will want to own that experience of their, and manage the assets associated with that. So I think that's the choice is the most important part.
Right.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, it's the first app wallet that is embedded. So it's actually the same application for the exchange and the wallets, which, as you mentioned, you make this journey and this transition much faster because you're now using the same app. So it's like, one tip or one click of a finger to move from like the exchange to the wallet. Was it kind of your intention there to simplify UX, to make it easy for people to move from the exchange to wallets?
Yeah, absolutely. I think even today, we've made great strides, and I think our wallet is phenomenal to use, but I do know that we still have a lot of work to do. If I were to put our app, which like you said, is already very streamlined for a sort of crypto familiar person. But if I gave that to my father or my mother, I think she would still struggle a little bit. Yeah, especially understanding what even self-custodial might mean and what's the difference, right? And so we have a lot of work to do, but the core of what we're trying to do, where we're headed, is to try to make this user journey, right? Going from learning about crypto, buying your first, maybe dabbling in a wide variety of assets and learning about what they do, and then taking them into your own wallet and then exploring the world of use cases on chain. That journey, we hope to make it as streamlined as possible. And if you jump in at any point of that journey, we have something for you, right? And we can help you sort of get up to speed very quickly. And by putting it all in one app, really helps in our view, make that accessible, right? You don't need to download a separate wallet. You don't need to physically switch it in this case, to a different, setup. And so that's what we try to do. If there's, again, feedback on how to make that even better, we'd love to hear it. We have some ideas, but that's coming later this year.
Yeah, I think we touched on earlier. It's like in most of the, and I'm a user of the wallet. I think it's the most sophisticated, or one of the most sophisticated wallet out there. And I'm testing a lot of them. and the reason I'm saying this is because you've been supporting, for example, restaking as the different protocols. One of the first wallet to do it, or even the first. You've been supporting like Stablecoin, Conveal on the app. There's definitely maybe improvements on the overall coherence. Sorry, I think we touched about this earlier. Do you agree with this? Yeah, and how maybe you can what strategy would you adopt to maybe make it like more seamless for your father, for example?
Yeah, one big focus for us is making sure interoperability is a big focus right now. And so making sure, first of all, we built a lot of these pieces, like you said, right? They're very powerful features. I would throw in ordinal support, Bitcoin ordinal support right in there, as these are unique sort of features that are complicated in their own right already. But then we're tying it into a sort of broader wallet experience. And we want to make sure users can go from feature to feature, or even from chain to chain, right? And be able to bridge assets and swap as needed to do that. There's also the NFT stuff that people are really starting to get excited about. And so, our thinking is we put all these features into the app. But I think coherence is a great word, because, what is that user journey from, why might a user want to go from looking at NFTs one day or trading NFTs to restaking, right? Like, yeah, how does that even work? And how would a user discover these different parts of the ecosystem? And so, number one, making sure you can't even go from one to another is a challenge, technical challenge already, right?
In one click, right?
In one click, or as few as possible, and especially if they're across different chains and networks. I think there's definitely some complexity there. So I think we've done a decent job of doing that. Now, I think on the user experience side, that's where we have a lot more work to do. And I think it's an extremely powerful tool and wallet that we built. And there's a little something for any use case right now. We've got some ideas on how better to make that, more thematic and more geared towards maybe user personas and things like that. But that's coming out later. So nothing to share today, unfortunately.
And you've also been supporting the Bitcoin ecosystem. You are in the space for more than 10 years now. So you've seen evolving this ecosystem through the years. I would say how do you help this ecosystem to grow through the app or through the platform in general? And what are you excited about this ecosystem evolving?
Yeah, I mean, we've both been in the space for a while. I think, there's a lot of cool stuff that's been happening off of Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin has really solidified its place. Certainly the oldest, possibly most secure, and all these elements that people recognize it. And that's why, the market cap is still, by far the biggest. We as a organization, we're very keen to see, that grow in the Bitcoin ecosystem too. And so some of the things that we've done is Bitcoin does improve and upgrade over time. It's just slower than others. And there's a very delicate process where people, the core and developers get consensus around what upgrades to do and test it out. And so when upgrades do happen, I think we've been one of the first, I would say, to support those new technologies. Now, I'll give a couple examples, right? When SegWit came about, we added support for that. Taproot, likewise. Lightning is a great example. I think it hasn't quite taken off as much as people thought, and it's still hard to use. But 3 years ago, we added Lightning support to the exchange already. And even today, we're just hearing other companies incorporate that. And so, when you look forward to now, what's happening now, there's a lot of excitement. I don't think I've ever felt as much excitement in the Bitcoin ecosystem as there has been for a long time. Maybe, I don't know, maybe even since like 2014 or something, when all these ideas were coming around, like what could Bitcoin do and what can it support? And you're seeing a lot of capital. I don't know if you guys are looking at some of this stuff too, but there's like definitely, new teams proposing and experimenting on building layer twos, layer twos and ways to bridge native Bitcoin across these layers with shared securities as well. There's some restaking, and I think a lot of this was inspired by the ordinals that came about a little over a year ago, really opening up people's minds to, wait a minute, the design space on Bitcoin is actually much greater than we thought. And that's tremendously exciting. And so that's for us, on the exchange side, and on the wallet side, we're always looking to see how we can incorporate and support these new features. So ordinals, we had to support last year, and it's been, I'd say, pretty popular with our users. Right, we've been hearing their feedback and iterating on that. And so I think we're pretty proud that we're one of the most well-used platforms for Bitcoin NFT trading and ordinal management and all that. And we're definitely going to be supporting upcoming layer twos and releases. Runes is happening right around the halving soon, and that's a lot of people are very excited about that. So we're also excited. It's fun to see our users excited, giving us feedback, and we're going to be right there.
I completely agree on the Bitcoin ecosystem right now. I would say post FTX, it was super hard to find rewards or yields in the Bitcoin ecosystem. Even now, lending is like 2 to 3%, and so the reward is not very high, and the risk is still quite high because you're lending to other crypto companies that might have like counterparty risk. So this idea of like having L2s that support the DeFi or the NFT ecosystem on Bitcoin, or a shared security through, Babylon. L2s, we've seen Stacks, Botanics, and other parts of the world support is very exciting for sure for the ecosystem, to support the growing DeFi and NFT and Web3 ecosystem around Bitcoin, but also for the end user to get kind of reward opportunities in a more decentralized way on Bitcoin.
Absolutely. And some of these projects are trying to fill some gaps and connect, Bitcoin with other EVM-based ecosystems, Solana ecosystem. I think that's fascinating. Remains to be seen, how the market responds to that. But, I think the importance of experimentation, can't be understated, right? I think we need to try, and none of these are actually impacting Bitcoin itself, right? These are being built on top of the asset. Still the asset blocks are still being mined, as it was. And so I think this is very interesting. Maybe a year from now, we can circle back and see how this played out. But I think this moment for Bitcoin and actually for broader crypto, I think is a really strong one.
Yep. In a year from now, happy to have you again.
We'll see. We'll see.
Coffee and croissant and talk about and see how the Bitcoin ecosystem has evolved in a year, and I'm sure it's going to be thriving. One part of your job is also to look at other protocols. Definitely, we have the EVM ecosystem, the Cosmos ecosystem, the Bitcoin is growing. Do you see other great protocols emerging and great demands from users, and also great founders of these products that you are meeting on every week or from time to time?
I always say that I can't tell. Like I don't. Maybe I'm not. I'm not tech savvy enough. And most of the time I meet people and I try to learn. Right. And most importantly, one thing I found is to gauge sort of the developer reaction, as well as the user reaction. Right. I think you can see, activity is always a great indicator of that demand. And for us, our whole mission and our business and our product is to provide access, right? And if users want to partake in any ecosystem, I mean, Solana has also been very popular recently.
That's right.
That's our job to make sure that they're able to do so, right? And so I don't necessarily think it's for me to judge. I think it's for the community to judge. Our goal is to support as many as we can. On our wallet, for example, we support over 90 different protocols in this chains and networks, right? I think not all of them are popular at once, but one interesting stat actually I looked at the other day, over the past 6 months, I think at 8 different networks were the most popular at any given time. So it was, that means that users are actually using different networks and going back and forth between them, right? And it's not just like, hey, this is the most popular, second, 3, 4, 5. There were different spikes depending on activity, obviously. And I think that's very telling of how user behavior is going to go in the future, where maybe it's not about the network, right? It's about the use cases. It's about the games. It's about the opportunities, the reward opportunities that you just mentioned. And that's why they want to be on Cosmos or Solana, whatever, right? And I think that's what we're focused on. Ultimately, an example today is you don't care when you browse the internet which protocol the data was delivered on, right? This doesn't matter. And it maybe doesn't in the long term. So I'm very keen on seeing and looking for those use cases that users get really excited about.
And I guess, as mentioned earlier, it's a big part of your job to provide easy access to cross-chain for the users so that you can move from one chain to the other. And again, like always with the idea of what's the use case, what solution it brings to me. Is it Solana, Cosmos, or an EVM chain? Maybe at the end of the day, I don't care that much. I care about the use case. And what are you now excited about in the ecosystem for the next 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years is a hard one. I'd say 2 years. 2 years. Okay, 2 years. Look, I think we've just come off, what happened in 2022.
That's right.
I think you and I both feel that we've turned a corner. The mood has definitely shifted, right? If not the price. And the excitement around anything from meme coins to developers to new protocols to new all these things. But I mentioned gaming. I think gaming this year, there's going to be a lot of sort of big budget game experiments that are going to come to the market. We actually just signed a partnership with Immutable, Web3 gaming company, to really focus on making sure games have access to users and there's seamless connectivity for users that want to play these games and manage and deal in all these assets. So there's a lot to be excited about, I think, is bottom line what I'm trying to say. This is...
and maybe posing on this, how can OKX Wallet user will be able to interact with a Web3 game and via the wallet, and maybe with Immutable X in between, like how is it going to play out?
Yeah, so what we're thinking about specifically for that is Immutable has a fantastic wallet product also, but not all. There's multiple wallets out there, and what we want to do is make sure the assets that the games themselves have or are easily accessible within the OKX wallet also, and also highlighted in a gaming zone, so to say. I don't know what the marketing term is going to be or the product term is going to be, but we're going to have some area where if you're into games, you'll be able to very quickly discover and manage and deal with all your in-game assets.
That's
and then also, obviously, we're working to see how the OKX wallet itself can be integrated and working seamlessly with the games themselves too. So it goes sort of both ways, right? The enhancing the in-game experience, but also enhancing that out-of-game experience where these gaming NFTs or gaming NFTs and those assets get to be, you can still admire and trade and do what you want with them, even within the Web3 wallet experience.
That's so you can imagine a future where I start to play a game, I connect my OKX wallet. Actually, every items that I mint will be sitting on the OKX wallet, and then when I come back on the OKX wallet app, I see these items in my kind of like gaming section into the app.
Right, something like that. We haven't quite released it yet, so that's our current thinking. And also, I'm also curious to see what new gaming experience can be delivered or created because you have the on-chain element included, right? And I think items are a great sort of first step, but there are ways for people to participate in game ecosystems without even playing the game. I think I've heard an idea where you could use sort of on-chain smart contracts to basically distribute rewards for people that are just observing the game, right? Like I'm watching the game and I want to support this team, for example, and I will stake towards that and maybe be the recipient of an in-game outcome based on the smart contracts and setups. I think that's interesting. We'll see how that plays out. Again, experimentation I think is going to be critical.
That's very exciting. And maybe last, because we're launching at Kiln this stablecoin yield aggregation layer for wallets. So why do you think stablecoin is an important use case for Web3? And you have a lot of retail users everywhere in the world in the OKX Wallet app. So how do they use? Do you see this as a use case on the app? Stablecoins.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, stablecoins have been probably one of the best examples of a product market fit success story, right? In crypto globally. I was in Argentina last month, and just learning about the complexities of their economic situation and why they might want stablecoin. I think most Argentinians, almost everyone I met, was just like, "Duh, this is so no brainer." And then to see their adoption of stablecoins, it is. I maybe not predicting the future or anything, but I think that inherent understanding of being able to use something, control it again, right? I mean, it's no different than having cash in your wallet in many ways, right? But a digital format, and not be constrained by some of the pain points of cross-border payments or
even the local central bank that could be a risk for all assets.
Or exactly, right? When you currency, inflation is the thing, and so I think there's a lot of real world sort of tangible already appeal. But then you layer in the things that what cool stuff that you're doing, right? You're building ways for people to use those stablecoins that they already have. Maybe abstract away some of the complexities right now of dealing with, I don't know, different protocols and which chain do I put my stablecoins on? I think that's still kind of complex. And if based on what I heard you guys are launching, I think that's a pretty cool solution to help abstract some of that out and make it simple for people.
Yep. I mean, we think one of the it's always comes back to what's the next billion users use case, and we think stablecoin and digital payment could move into blockchain emails and stablecoins in the next 5 to 6 years quite quickly. We're definitely very excited about this use case.
And there's a lot of there's like stablecoin regulation and sort of that framework is coming into place where I think stablecoins themselves will be even more widely adopted in the institutional realm and beyond, right? So I think there's multiple things really going on for this to really, get to that next wave of adoption.
Great.
Yeah.
It was just a blast to have you.
Thank you.
I hope we could do this maybe next year when you come back in Paris.
Yeah, we'll see that everything I said was wrong. That's what happened.
I'm sure you're definitely right about non-custodial cross-chain Bitcoin ecosystems, and I'm sure most of what you're saying will be right, but let's see. We never know.
We will see. Yeah, crypto always has has a fun twists and turns, so we'll see. But I think ultimately the use cases that develop out of this wave of excitement and all this developer activity, I'm really eager to see that.
Right. Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you.
And see you soon.